And sometimes society says that we need to do this, and sometimes society says that behavior needs to look like this. I think all of us in this room know how it is to be part of and go along of the rules. Ne? And for all of us, there will be times where it is that we challenge those very same rules. Your children too, whether there is a disability or there is blindness and visual impairment. Short-term and long-term, for me, what is important is that children who are blind and visually impaired, through learning and being encouraged about positive behavior responses, are responsible individuals, but they're also kept safe. Ne? That's the important thing for me around short-term and long-term. And it's important right now for parents and caregivers, brothers, cousins, grannies, grandfathers, to be a part of that role. Ne? Right now, in terms of positive behavior responses, especially with a young child, it's also about family relationships and maintaining a happy home. Ne? When it is that our children are melting down, or there's just continuous crying or shouting or tantrums, that impacts the home, and we are often not very happy chappies. Ne? So in terms of short term, that's important. Just understanding why it is that positive behavior responses need to be encouraged. I spoke about the short term. If you're looking at the long term, the link to career success, community success, and then society as a whole. Ne? Also very important for our children's mental health and our children's mental well-being. We often don't think about that. And I can understand why, and I also have a great respect, especially for children, for parents who are bringing up the very young child. And for me, the very young child is between birth and, I don't know, 5 to 6 to 7 years old, because there's a lot going on. This morning we got to hear about diagnoses and, shortly after birth, and pregnancies that were sometimes very difficult or challenging. And in the middle of all of that is the child that we now need to raise. Ne? So things can get a little bit, okay, I'm not really going to discipline in this way, or I'm not really going to give, or I'm going to give into this because it maybe just seems a little bit more easier or convenient. Ne? And I wonder if I can ask a question to the parents, and if anybody would mind to answer. When it comes to disciplining, how are you, what are your senses, or what is your feeling around shouting at my child, spanking or hitting? I'm not condoning that, ne? But where's your mindsets? Time out. How has that been like for you guys as parents? Yes, I knew you were going to respond because you were just. So you're the mom of Mangaliso. Yeah, and Mangaliso is 5 years old. Okay.
So it's challenging for me, especially because he's so strong, spirited.
Yes, I saw that.
So, like, ideally, I want to gentle parent and not shout.
Yes.
Give time out.
Yes.
But he'd be like, no, I'm not going to time out.
Yes.
Or I'm like, Mangaliso, what are you doing? And he just screams out of nowhere.
Yes.
Then I end up raising my voice where
Yes.
I know I shouldn't.
Yes.
So it's a hit and miss at this point.
Yes.
He's been better when he was younger. But
Okay. So as he's getting older now, he's also challenging you with regards to that. Yeah.
he wants to negotiate.
Yeah. And then what do you do? What do you do when he's negotiating?
I find a middle ground where I still punish him, I take him away.
Okay.
But he also feels like he's walking away with something.
Okay. Because there's also in the presentation later on speaking about choice and autonomy. So especially with a younger child, where it is that you can have that. Kulsum was speaking about how we speak to our children and positively and using our words, and please, you can do that as your child, and please do it as your child becomes older, ne? So that you're not breaking them down totally. Thank you, ma'am. Tians, did you have your hand up?
No.
Oh, okay. Was there another hand up?
But let me say, maybe from my perspective, what's tricky for me as a parent is you were sort of disciplined in a certain way when you were a child. So my father was a magistrate, so either you go to jail or you go to free. But it was.
So you're going to jail, Tians?
I mostly went to jail.
You're not in jail, so okay.
I'm not in jail.
Yes.
Yeah. So very strict, very consequential, but not unloving, but like, here's the boundaries, here's the rules.
Yeah.
And
And what of that do you carry over in your parenting with Christian?
So very like block shape, right and wrong.
Okay.
Here's a boundary, there's
Yes.
a boundary.
Yes.
But he is different.
Yeah.
And his perception of things are different.
Yeah.
His emotional world is different.
Yes.
So I had to like understand much better how he sees things.
Yeah.
So what I see as right and wrong, he might not see as right and wrong. I'm not talking about, kicking my cat off the house or something.
Yeah.
But what I see as a boundary is not what he sees as a boundary. And stepping into his world and understanding where he is has gotten me far further than my idea of here's all the rules, here's the law.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
No, that does make sense. And I think, yes. So you are the dad of Madeline? Okay.
I try to,
And Madeline is going to turn 6. Yeah.
so I try to exercise emotional intelligence when it comes to that, because I try to exercise emotional intelligence, right? So when it's not always easy, because sometimes you be in a frustrating emotion or frustrating state, then they come
And who's
along-
frustrated? Who's frustrated? You.
me, and then they come along and add on to the frustration. So it's very difficult to keep that from boiling
Over.
from a tipping point. But then there's always like this repetition where you just look up or do whatever, take a breath and just think before you act. Right?
Absolutely.
And what I saw in her is like sometimes she would know that she's wrong, and she knows exactly what she's doing at the moment. But that is the time where I feel like she should actually be punished.
Okay.
We know that baby is doing wrong. Because I first tried to teach her why the thing that she's
Yes.
doing is wrong and explain to her. But if she becomes ignorant unintentionally, then I start disciplining.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yes?
Another hand at the back.
Yes.
I have a 2-year and 6-month-old son. So he's on a state where he likes to try to push his boundaries. So we have this thing, I ask him, show me what is wrong or what you want. So he's on that state where he understands what the question is. So for instance, he's starting to cry and he doesn't stop. Then I will leave him that he cries it out, and then he comes afterwards and says he wants that or that. But as soon as he's going to push back, and then that's the shot when he actually.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing. Was there another hand on that side, Sister Jacobs? No. And then Donnay?
Benita, I'm Yasin's mom,
Yes.
7 years old.
Yes.
Yasin got a problem with not listening carefully.
Okay.
He's like talking a lot and sometimes. And he's not like, listen here, I have to listen what my mom said now. So now he's getting frustrated by me if
With
I'm
you.
not listening to him, if he calls me.
Okay.
The reason why I'm doing that, if I call him one time and he's not responding to me, I will call twice again and he's not listening. Then I will do the same.
Okay.
Then he's like, yo, I'm talking to mommy, why mommy not giving us?
So you're giving him of his medicine, you're giving back so that you can. Okay.
So sometimes he just tells me, Now I see I'm not going to do it again.
Okay.
So, but you see,
And he says that? And he says that to you?
yes.
Okay, cool.
You know why? The reason why I'm treating it the same like that is he's visually impaired. Sometimes we as parents want to protect our children,
Yeah.
but we're not there in it 24/7.
Always. Yeah.
So we need to learn the child, listen, you got a disability. But that is not meaning you got a disability, so you must go out there, no, he's got a disability, I have to listen to him.
Yeah.
I have to help him.
Okay.
It doesn't work.
Like that. Okay.
Because I was brought up as a visually impaired, you need to stand. And how to stand? You need to bump
Okay.
to get so educated.
So because
So that's why I learn him so up to now. And he's like, almost like he's telling me, but you're the hardest mom. I said, no. Manners, behavior is the main thing.
very, very important. Also setting. Thank you very much. And I think what I get from your comment, Donna, is also very important that even though our children are young, but we're already looking to the future because we know that things can be very, very tough generally for people out there, but then also for persons with a disability. And I think, I don't know how the other therapists feel, or including the doctors. I think we've got a group of awesome parents right here in this room, isn't there? That are, that are on the right track and are willing to learn and to try different things, and then also to listen to and to try what other people are saying. Tians, on what you were saying, and I think on what the mom was saying, I had a conversation with one of our parents on leading up to the week in terms of preparing for today. And last year, her daughter is 4 years old and 4 years old, and had a lot of behavior, a whole lot of tantrums, a whole lot of fighting, a whole lot of biting last year this time. And then I was just speaking with her about, in terms of what her strategies was, and I think it was one of the parents that mentioned, I think you mentioned, then if it is that you also need to time out, and take yourself away, and you go to the other room, that's also okay, that's very much needed, my personal, and I think this is just my professional opinion in terms of time out with a young kid, I don't really recommend it, because I feel that, especially with a very young child, emotionally, and they're not there yet in terms of understanding, I think that it leads to feelings of shame, and maybe just things that the very young child is not able to understand yet. If you look at it from us as adults, it's the same thing. Where it is that if we don't get what we want or something is challenging, we're experiencing that in our lives. That's how we go. How much time do I have left? Because I can talk a whole lot here. But anyway, I won't. This is where I'd like to focus on as well. How much time do I have left, Christopher? No time. 5 minutes. Thank you, Mr. Dion. To the parents, I'd also just like you to acknowledge this slide, is that please consider the age and the stage of your child. Please consider that your children are very young. And for me, that's the child, the month-old baby till the 9-year-old child. And they are growing and they are developing. Madeline's daddy, you had a beautiful word of emotionally regulating. And even for us as adults, we need to do that. We need to, when the Bokke are definitely going to win tonight, and then I'm going to be happy, and if they lose, and I don't know what I'm going to do with my emotions, but I gaan baie kwaad wees. But that's our children too. And think of it, this 2-year-old, this 3 years old, this 5-year-old, they're dealing with a whole lot of things that's foreign and new. They're learning and developing all of their motor skills, emotional skills, fine motor skills. So we need to be patient with our children, but we also need to be patient with ourselves. Most of us this morning when we were listening to our parents' journeys, and thank you so much to the parents throughout the day that have shared your journeys with us and the children. Thank you once again. It's not easy to be up here and to do what it is that you guys needed to do. So thank you for opening up your world so that others can learn and share. But a lot of times at the time of birth, there's a whole lot of things are up and down. Ne? There's medication, there's birth history. Some of our children are experiencing, just things like seizures, and they're on medication, and all of this can have an impact on our children's behavior. Ne? And we need to be cognizant of that. Important for me, how many times, one of the other speakers mentioned it, I'm not too sure. Not everything, especially in terms of behavior, is about your child's blindness or visual impairment. Ne? Sometimes it is just because they are naughty. I don't like to use that word with children, that's just me. But it's not everything is connected to the fact that the child is blind or visually impaired. Children who are sighted also have behavior. Children who have with other disabilities also go through this. So taking into consideration all of the other presentations, Kulsum's presentation before me, positive parenting, ne? This too shall pass if it is that we are, as parents, are committed to putting in the work that we need to. Otherwise, it's not going to pass. Ne? But we need to commit to putting into the work to help our children and to guide our children. Okay? Because otherwise it's just going to be overwhelming. I've got 1 minute. Okay. Can I talk about blindisms, Vanny, or do you want to talk about blindism? Okay. So sometimes there are things, and this is where I'll end. There are some behavior that is specifically connected to blindness, and it's termed blindisms. Who termed it blindisms? You guys, the doctors. Ne? Sometimes your children will rock. Ne? Sometimes they will sway. Sometimes they will poke their eyes. Ne? Okay? And when the mommy, I was watching you a lot. Sorry, mommy, I'm not picking on you. But your daughter needed she was fussing, and what did you do? You rocked her. And she calmed, ne? Because that's the vestibular stimulation. Perhaps she's tired or a nappy needed to be changed, but part of it is that vestibular stimulation is important. So blind and visually impaired children, in any child, physical activity is important. A lot of the times we find where, I'm sure all of the people, the facilitators who work with children on a day-to-day basis, the blind or visually impaired child who is very still, we worry about that child. Ne? We need a child who's exploring and so on. But if it is that you can, because if you look at, can I use your daughter as an example, sir? Yeah. So what she was doing just now, ne? She was rocking herself. Again, with regard, and that's okay. In our world, that's okay. When it is that she's exposed to people on the outside, they will look at Maddie and they'll think, why is she doing that? Ne? If you have the children who are able to see, even if they're sitting still, they are so visually stimulated just by what their eyes pick up. Ne? So the blind child often seems to need to turn to their body, ne? And then that's what they do. So the rocking and the swaying and the swinging is okay. We need to accept it. Give a lot of opportunities for swinging and physical activity in Maddie's life. Sometimes children press their eyes, ne? And it can be connected to tiredness. It can be connected to overstimulation. It's been a long day for the children. But what I have heard sometimes doctors say is that sometimes the children, I don't know, Professor Tinley, you've seen that with the eye poking and the pressing, and it actually becomes very, they press their eyes very hard, ne? Where it is that can be a danger to the child itself in terms of the eye. So so understanding swaying, spinning, rocking, hand flapping, that will happen. And many a times it is a way for your child to relax. Ne? So I think find the balance between being too concerned and overly concerned about it as a parent, but then also knowing that this is what, and being okay, this is what my child needs to be okay. Ne? I think I took up 1-2 minutes of the next speaker's time. But that's it. I also just want to say to the parents, don't be too hard on yourselves. Ne? Keep on trying, come again the next day. Ne? That's what it's all about. Really, this too shall pass. In my, just with regards to over the years, and I've worked with children. Primarily, we work with children who are between the age of birth and 9 or 10. But when it is, and specifically on behavior, when it is that we have the opportunity to see them 5, 10 years later, a lot of the behavior that was very challenging when they were young, it works itself out because they grow and they develop and they are now stimulated or interested in so many other things. But the positive support from all of you guys, that is really important. And then if you need professional help, if you need help from therapists or psychologists or doctors or whatever, speak to us, we are there. Sometimes some of our children need the extra support and help as well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.